Does your child or student have a 504 plan in school? Then you've come to the right place. If they have a perceived or an actual disability, or you think they need one, then you're going to be sitting in a 504 meeting where your team might be talking about accommodations or even services that may or may not work. That's why in this video, I'm taking you behind the scenes of 504 plans to talk about the 3 mistakes that you can avoid and how you can advocate like a pro. Hey, what's up? I'm April Rarig, your special education advocate to make IEPs and 504 plans so much better. Today, I'm joined by my cat, Mrs. Capricorn. Make sure to subscribe to get more videos like this in your inbox and follow us on Instagram at RiseEdAdvocacy. Let's dive in. 504s are regulated under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act since 1973. This means that 504s are a civil rights statute enacted by U.S. Congress. What is a 504 plan? It defines how schools provide support and remove barriers, also known as equal access. Here's the problem. Pro tip is that parents and providers and teachers aren't given regular trainings on how to write a 504, how to read a 504, and more importantly, how to fix it if it's not working for your child or student. How do I know this? I know this because I was a school psychologist and a teacher in one of the biggest districts in all United States for about 20 years, and I had one training on Section 504. Crazy, right? That's exactly why I want you to check out my video on what does a 504 look like so you know exactly what to expect before you walk in the door. Make sure to keep watching this video into the very end where I'm going to give you all of my tools and resources so you can advocate like a pro. So now you know what is a 504. Let's dive into why you're watching this video, those 3 mistakes that you want to avoid so your child can get the best 504. Here is the number 1 mistake or the biggest problem that I see at the 504 table: not getting a written 504 plan. What am I talking about? I'm talking about, unlike an IEP, a 504 plan actually doesn't need to be written down. So if you're a parent and your child has a 504 plan and you don't get a written copy, then there's no notification and there's no ability for you to disagree with the plan because it's like it never existed in the first place. That's exactly why you need to know how to request for a 504 and how to get written documentation. More about this in just a minute. So what can you do about it? If you're a parent, you can put a request in writing for your school to conduct a formal 504 plan. But if they say no, then you can submit a written response saying that you would like notice, or what's called your procedural safeguards, for why they're not able to put your request in writing, and more importantly, why they're not able to conduct a written 504 plan. More about your rights in just a minute. So let me ask you something. Do you know the difference between qualifying for an IEP or a 504 plan? What if your child or student, you're not really sure? What do they need? What are the qualifications? What's the eligibility criteria? Make sure to grab my guide that has side-by-side eligibility criteria for a 504 and an IEP so you know exactly what your child or student will need. Grab that link in the description box below. This brings me to mistake number 2, failing to review or update your child's 504. What am I talking about? I'm talking about, unlike an IEP that requires annual, even triennial assessments, Section 504 does not have mandated timelines or triennial reviews. However, Section 504 does mandate for periodic reviews and for teams to reconvene if certain conditions warrant. What am I talking about? Something called 504 reevaluations. Case in point, your 504 team needs to reconvene before they start talking about changing your child's placement to a more restrictive setting, such as a full day to a partial day, or before changing accommodations or removing a related service. And yes, pro tip, your child can get services with Section 504. So let me ask you something. Do you have a 504 meeting coming up for your child or student? Make sure to check out my video of 5 tips to do before every single 504 meeting so that whether you're a parent, a teacher, even an admin, you know exactly what to do and how to prepare for your next 504. Make sure to grab that link in the description box below. Speaking of advocacy, here's another pro tip. 504 plans do not expire. What am I talking about? I'm talking about if your child has a 504 plan and you move to a new school or it's been a couple years, there is no such thing as an expired 504 unless your child graduates from high school or is trying to enroll in a post-secondary institution. More about this in another video. But if you're trying to request a 504 plan for your child, what do you ask for and how to do it? That's exactly why I want you to check out my guide that has a template for re-evaluations, or if you want a new 504 meeting for your child, it shows you exactly what to ask for, how to get written notification, how to get the right 504 in all the areas that your child needs. Make sure to grab that link in the description box below. So now you know your 504 plan needs to be in writing and it requires periodic review. This brings me to mistake number 3, which has to do with not understanding parent procedural safeguards. Here's the deal. Just like IEPs, 504 plans have procedural safeguards. This comes into play when your school is involved in the identification, evaluation, and placement of a child with a disability, whether it's perceived or actual. And this is one of the biggest violations that I see all the time as a special education advocate, and it has to do with something called child find, because child find applies to both IEPs and 504 plans. What does this mean? Pro tip, as parents, you have the right to request your procedural safeguards because most districts will have a handout or have something available to provide parents. Make sure to put your request in writing to get your procedural safeguards so you know exactly what you can ask for and how to get it for your child or student. Here's something else that you may not know. As parents, you have procedural safeguards, which involve due process. So you're able to disagree when it comes to the identification, evaluation, or placement of your child with a 504 plan. Here's something else that you may not know. Pro tip, students are protected under Section 504 even if they don't have a 504 plan. What am I talking about? I'm talking about that if you believe your child or student may need a 504 plan, but they haven't yet been identified or they're going through the process, they are protected under Section 504 and have all the rights and provisions under that protection. So what am I saying? I'm saying, like I mentioned earlier, that schools don't get the instructions and directions how to write and hold 504 meetings. And as parents, we don't get the playbook. That's exactly why I created the ultimate 504 guide that takes all the provisions of Section 504 and lays them out in language that makes sense and easier to understand. That way, whether you're a parent, a teacher, or a provider, at the 504 table or even a student, you understand your safeguards, you understand how to request a 504 and how to get a new plan in place. Make sure to grab that link in the description box below. So now you know so much more when it comes to 504 plans, specifically those 3 mistakes that you want to avoid before your child's or student's next 504 meeting. Do you have a question? Put it in the comment below. You want me to do another video or expand on more what I've already talked about? Yep, put it there too. Like and subscribe to get more videos like this in your inbox every day. And check us out on Instagram at RiseEdAdvocacy. Grab all those links in the description box below so you can advocate like a pro for your child or student. I'm April Rarig, your special education advocate, and my cat, Mrs. Capricorn. We can't wait to see you for our next video.